Hi everyone, it's Alexis with Project Management Made Simple. In this video, I'm going to answer the question, what are the differences between waterfall and agile project management? There are 5 characteristics that I'm going to highlight to you all, showcasing the differences between each of these project management methodologies. When we think of a waterfall project, we are going to be thinking of all of our phases happening sequentially. So our requirements, all of that happening up front. Then we'll have our designing, our analysis, we'll have our building, we'll have our testing that happens, any validation, and then finally we'll have our go live or our launch. Whereas if we are in an agile world, these phases will still happen. However, they will happen iteratively. So as opposed to them only happening once, where we have all of the requirements gathering up front, we'll do a little bit from each of these phases, and this is something that will happen continuously and iteratively in order to complete the project. The next characteristic is around project management as a role. For waterfall projects, we will see explicitly a project manager. This is going to be the person who aggregates all of the various project management pieces together. In the agile world, however, project management is distributed. And so if we're using the Scrum framework, for instance, within Agile, we're going to have a product owner, we'll have a Scrum master, and we'll have a development team. And all 3 of those roles will work together to complete the project management duties that are prescribed. Now, the question that ends up coming as a result of this is, for agile projects, is there a need for a project manager? Now, to answer this question, it's a bit nuanced, and I'm going to have another video where I get into detail around that. But in general, if we're seeing a strict agile environment, then no, we're not going to see project managers. The caveat that I will mention here is that for most organizations, when they say and mention that they're agile, there's typically a hybrid approach that's going on here. And so you will actually see project managers working on agile projects. But again, that's another topic for another video. The next characteristic is around scope and requirements. So for waterfall projects, the idea is that the requirements are well known. And so this makes waterfall best suited for construction projects, for any projects where something is tangible and we know what something is supposed to look like, and we can establish from that what the requirements are. However, in the agile world, we don't have the requirements all up front. We don't know exactly what needs to be built necessarily. We may have some idea of some key features, but to get to detailed requirements may take some time. And even through that exercise, we might find that some of the requirements are no longer relevant after we go through demoing something, and then we find out that those requirements are not even necessarily needed. And so when we're looking to an agile world and we're looking to applying the agile project methodology, we will typically see requirements that are not well known, and so scope is pretty flexible here. The next characteristic is around change. For waterfall projects, in general, change is frowned upon. Because all of the planning happens up front, the idea is that once we get into executing, all we should need to do is execute against that plan. Otherwise, why do we spend so much time up front doing the planning? Agile, on the other hand, has the thought process that change will happen, especially for projects where we're working on something intangible, like software projects. It is likely to have changes that need to occur, right? And so having the thought process that we can't have change ultimately can result in a solution that does not provide much business value to the end user or to the customer. And so it's important to think of change when we're thinking of agile projects. Change is built into this project management methodology, versus for waterfall, change is frowned upon. Now, this does not mean that change does not happen at all in waterfall projects. It just means that the change management process is a little bit more strict, maybe has a little bit more approvals that it needs to go through, versus in an agile world, we do have a change management process. It's just, again, the thought process here is that change will happen, and as long as it happens within the change management process, then we're fine, we're good to go. The final constraint I will highlight to you all is going to be around the triple constraint, meaning that in waterfall projects, we're going to see a fixed schedule, fixed scope, and fixed budget. Agile projects, on the other hand, will typically have a fixed schedule as well as a fixed budget. We will see changes in the scope because, as I mentioned before, change is welcome in this methodology, and also we don't know all of the requirements up front. Question, what are the differences between waterfall and agile project management? In my next video, I will detail the advantages and disadvantages to using either of them. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please do give this video a thumbs up, and I will talk to you all in my next video.